Hello Nottinghamshire Madness fans, welcome back to Madness Manor. Today I'm going to talk about my fat loss journey again, because this morning when I went on the scales I weighed 180 pounds and that was an interim target for me. It's actually a target I set in the summer of this year, and I was also concerned about the way my fat loss was going with regards to the rapid loss I was experiencing. So I've had a summer of travelling and experimenting and slowing down my weight loss, in fact even to the point where I went back up to 194 pounds. Because I would go and eat meals in London and have some drink, and so what I want to do is talk about how I've got from where I was to where I am now. So I've lost 60 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilos. Let me just take my jacket off, and I've got my for those of you who've seen my fat loss videos from the beginning, this is a shirt I started sharing with you, and you've seen the shirt a couple of times since. And this was a 3XL, rather generously proportioned Hawaiian shirt from Amazon, which I bought and was quite happy to wear. I bought 3 or 4 of these. I was quite happy to wear these. I was quite happy with the fit and everything else. But there are motivating factors that caused me to address how big I was. Motivating factors were my knees were hurting. My right hip would not last long if I went for a walk around town. just see how far this goes. That's gone to there, and that's gone to there. I'm going to talk about this distance in a bit, because that is quite relevant. So pain in hips, pain in knees. Quite happy going out and having some splendid foodie meals, and quite happy going out and having some real tasty English beers and foreign beers and whiskies and spirits from around the world. You know, a beautiful lifestyle. A beautiful lifestyle that put me in that shirt and put me so I couldn't walk around Mansfield without my hip hurting, and put me around hurting knees, and put me on a campsite in Sandringham in Norfolk where it took me 3 hours to pack away my tent. And I believe that 3-hour tent pack away was my turning point, because I packed my tent away in tears, in pain, and I decided very early on in my attempts to pack away my tent to take it to the bin on the campsite and throw it away. I couldn't get it to the bin, so I packed it away into the car. It took me 3 hours to break camp. I was in that much pain from hips and knees, and I found if I got on the floor, couldn't get back up again. And I used to make a joke. Before you bend down to do something or get down to do something, the first thing you do is plan your way back up. And I used to get down on the ground to do something, and before I would plan my way back up, because if there was no way back up, I wasn't going to get down and do something. So that is my motivating factor. it coincided with a guy cropping up on YouTube called Eddie Abu, who was a shouty guy that, and I don't really watch shouty guys, but I responded to him because the first video I watched was talking about insulin production in your body and insulin production control, and how insulin actually takes over your body. So you need to Google this. I'll try to include a link to Eddie Abu in the description. I'm not going to go on with the details. What he said struck home with me about sugar. It was about sugar. Now, we don't eat sugar. I don't have sugar in anything. I don't have sugar in tea and coffee. It transpires as you go through life, or as you go through your daily life, you eat a lot of sugar. So the first thing you have to do is to remove the sugar from your diet, from what you eat. And that is more difficult than you think. But his shouty video, I responded to greatly, and getting a recipe, go back to my HelloFresh meal, getting that recipe out, thinking I bought something healthy. HelloFresh 2-meal box can do me 2 dinners for 2 days. And I made a video cooking it live. And as I opened it and I went through the ingredients and it spoke about the amount of sugar in it, I'll try to link it in the description if I can find that video. The amount of sugar in that food, I think, was equivalent to probably 10 packets of the sugar you get at drive-through takeaway food vendors. That's 10 of those in one portion of food. And if you see the video, that went in the bin. So, having decided to address I'm going to say fat, because I was fat. And I've said before in videos that there's fat shaming and you can't say fat, and well, I'm very sorry, I was fat. That is end of. So I created my own motivating way of monitoring my fat loss. And what I do, or did, I started off with 3XL shirts, charity shop, 2XL shirts, XL shirts, large shirts, medium shirts, 42-inch trousers or jeans, 40-inch jeans, 38-inch jeans, 36-inch jeans, 34-inch jeans, 30-inch jeans, 32-inch jeans rather. Got some on. 30-inch jeans. I can't put those on. Going back to my shirt, wrapping around from here to here, clothing size wise, every down, what I've found, and generally I've been buying Tesco Land, Primark, even at charity shops, you know, Tesco Land short sleeve shirts, a couple of quid. Primark short sleeve shirts, they're only a couple of quid new. Primark shirts, actually, if you buy a large in Tesco Land, the Primark shirt is a whisker tighter. Part of your motivation, because part of your motivation is you buy this, in my case, a 2XL shirt and a pair of 42-inch jeans, which still fit. You can put jeans on. When you're that size, you can probably squeeze into a pair of 38-inch jeans, but they're all down here. Hang them on the wardrobe. The next size down of clothing, hang them on the wardrobe. And remember, they are 2 inches or 25 or 50 millimeters less in size. And that's where I mentioned this measurement here. The jacket I'm wearing here, this is a Target jacket. It's actually too small for me. But this is the largest Target jacket I've got. And I tried this on 2 weeks ago, and it was there. If I tried to fasten it, it just pulled up me. But now, I wouldn't like to sit down in it. The shirt I've got on is a rather sweet Jasper Conran. I think it's I don't know what size it is. I can't read the label. It must be a Jasper Conran extra large because his shirts are pretty tight on fit. But this is how a Tesco large shirt now fits, and a Primark large shirt fits a bit less. And most of your designer stuff is a keener fit. And then of course you have relaxed fit and slim fit and all sorts in shirts. Do your homework, or go to Primark and buy the same shirt in each size, because you'll get the use out of it. You wear that shirt 3 or 4 days a week, you know, wear it, dirty it, wash it, wear it, dirty it, wash it, do that through the week. And a pair of jeans that fit, but also buy the corresponding shirt smaller sizes, the corresponding jeans smaller sizes. Hang the next size down on the front of your wardrobe and work your way into that clothing. Work your way into that clothing by not eating sugar, by not eating food that has additives. I tried desperately to eat whole foods. People associate what I did with a diet called the Atkins diet. I've not read about the Atkins diet. I don't need to read anything. I just need to find out what works for me and continue and repeat. And it is repeat. It is incredibly repeat. I started off having, for breakfast, I'd have the same thing. I'd have scrambled egg, bacon, tomatoes, and mushrooms, and avocado. I went on holiday in the summer and I changed that to a frying pan, 1 pan of bacon, mushrooms, tomatoes, with a couple of eggs cracked in it, half scrambled, and avocado. It wasn't actually that pleasant to eat, but I had that on holiday every day for 2 weeks or so for breakfast. Lunch, celery sticks, 2 celery sticks, some cheese, some olives. Watch where you buy your olives from. Olives from Tesco land. At the moment, the 2 pots of olives, plain olives, 2 for £5. They are the least processed olives and the least chemical added olives you can buy. And that's important. So now I have omelette. I buy in Tesco land, I buy the grated mozzarella cheddar cheese. So I have a cheese omelette, 2 eggs, cheese omelette, and 2 rashers of Tesco land bacon. And I buy the thick bacon in the 6 slices per pack, because I like to have some bacon rather than the paper thin stuff. So that's my breakfast with an avocado. So that's my staple breakfast since I was camping in August. Lunch wise, like I said, celery and some soft cheese or hard cheese, or some Stilton cheese, some flavoursome cheese, because I've actually got quite a taste for celery. It's quite nice, and I found that if you add a bit of cheese to it, it's good. And olives, sometimes tomato, an apple with cheese, cheddar cheese, red Leicester cheese, lovely cheeses. Red Leicester cheese from Tesco land is more tasty than red Leicester from Aldi, because taste does begin to matter. For dinner, I actually had chicken salad, salmon salad, or a version of every day for the best part of 14 months. It's only recently, since I've been getting ready for my trip to Asia, I've actually been eating noodles and stir-fry food. And again, it's only stir-fry basic meat, basic vegetables, the packets of vegetables you get in Tesco, and nest of dry noodles, and probably half of that nest of dry noodles, because sugar, carbs are sugar. People say, oh, bread makes you fat. So does pasta. So does anything with carbs. So does jacket potatoes. So do roast potatoes. It isn't the fact they're cooked in oil, it's the fact it's a potato. And it's the carbs within the potato. So I've eaten, for the best part, 0 carbs. I had a veggie burger a couple of weeks ago in a brioche bun with cheese and salad. Because you find your insulin, the way it reacts to an influx of carbs in your body, the insulin rush, the insulin demand for more food is quashed, because your body gets used to the fact, oh, he's had some sugar, yeah, don't worry lads, just stay on tea, we don't need any more insulin, because he won't have any more sugar, he never does. Workplace, just like being in the workplace, no, don't bother with that, you won't do any more, leave it. And that's what your insulin does, that's what your body does with the insulin. But if you eat sugar, and you eat sugar, and you eat sugar, insulin's on a high, and it's, come on lads, more coming, let's get... When the sugar's been dealt with in your body by the insulin, which has been turned into fat, the insulin say, come on, we'll have some more work. That's not normal in the workplace. We've done that, let's get another job. That's what your insulin does, and it asks for more food, and that's where your craving comes from. My carb craving, I used to have a carb craving in the morning. I could get up and I could have 3 bacon sandwiches in the morning before 7 o'clock. And want a fourth rather. I could go camping, and at bedtime I'd have a mug of hot chocolate, a good shot of whiskey or brandy, and some pan of chocolate, the ones with the multi-packs individually wrapped, and I'd probably take a pack of those to last me the weekend and eat them all in the first day. That is my insulin shouting for sugar. That doesn't happen anymore whatsoever. The other thing I learned was, and I must have read this or heard it somewhere else on a video, is water. When you're hungry, first have a glass of water, because apparently the same message that says you're hungry and you want some food is actually exactly the same message as you're thirsty, you're dehydrated. So your body may be dehydrated and be asking for food, when in reality it's asking for water. And if you can eat, and if you eat food, particularly carbs, you'll become more dehydrated, and you ask for more food. It's actually your body saying water, water, water. So if I do get hungry, I always have a glass of water. I've recently started drinking hot water, and that's actually quite nice to drink. I don't fully understand the health benefits. I don't need to understand the health benefits. All I can tell you is if I drink hot water instead of cold water in the morning, I feel different. And it's probably all in the head. I don't mind, I don't care, it works. So that's where I've come with my fat loss. And I've spoken about it many times. And the feel-good factor, putting this Jasper Conran shirt on. Is it Conran or Conrad? Conran, isn't it? I've bought this shirt in the charity shop in Nottingham, and it's a real cool shirt. I've got a Paul Smith as well somewhere, which is a little bit smaller than this. Last week, this was too tight. Last week, the jacket was way too tight. It's almost too tight. I've got other tie. I've got a cracking, beautiful designer from the charity shop blue jacket, which is probably the next one along. And I've got a beautiful Harris tweed jacket, which is also going to be the next one along, and jeans. I'm on 32-inch stretch, but I stretch jeans because stretch jeans are very surprising, because they're very forgiving, but they don't stretch and get too big and stay big. They like rich jeans. They will, as you lose weight, they will go with you, and all of a sudden you'll find stretched jeans don't stretch less anymore, and you need to wear the next size down. So stretch jeans are good. They're good for me. This hanging the next size down clothes on the wardrobe was a fantastic motivating factor for me. So I can ramble on about this forever and ever, and it looks like you've had 20 minutes worth. I don't know if I've talked about 20 minutes about me not being fat, but I've done it. If you watch to the end, well done. if you want to start a journey of becoming slimmer, less fat, if you want to remove some pounds, get into your head and get your head working on your behalf, and go to Primark, go to a charity, or buy some clothes that are too small for you. I go on the scales every morning of my life. You should not do that. Every health professional in the world will tell you the worst thing you can do is go on the scales every day. Like I do. But I'm an engineer. And an engineer, all about engineering is collating information. And all I'm doing is collating information. And generally, you stay the same. When I was in London last, I was going up every day. Because I was eating the wrong stuff. Coffee is, I don't get coffee. I drink a lot of coffee and I make my own coffee. If I go out on the bicycle, I make my own coffee. I take it with me. If I don't take it with me to make fresh, I make it at home, and I've got a couple of systems at home where I can make a French press, which you then can compress the coffee before you leave home, and it's a vacuum flask. There's probably a video on that somewhere. Coffee is significant to fat loss or lack of fat loss. And I don't even drink lattes or chai tea or anything like that. Look at the sugar contents of these lovely coffees. All these people you see with these great big cups, because they're not an espresso in those cups. And you see these people walking out with your big cups of coffee, and then some of them have got the big cups of iced coffee. I don't know the numbers. My guess is in one of those cups there's a week's worth of sugar. I also add salt to my food, because your body doesn't produce any salt, and any health official you speak to will tell you cut out salt. If you do your research, you'll probably find cutting out salt and eating a healthy diet, a sugar-free diet, a whole food diet, is more detrimental to your health than actually adding salt to the food. That is a whole nother story about the Food Standard Agency and why we have to eat what we eat, and why every street corner's got one of these places that sells sugar by the bucket load, even though they have a sugar tax. That all gets political. So essentially, whole foods, cut out the sugar, cut out the added sugar, watch for hidden sugar. Ingredients, read the ingredients on food and see how many ounces it has on it. See how many ounces and sugar it says. Because in fact, every time you read an ounce, it is an accumulation of sugar. Because that ounce is sugar in a different name. So I believe, so I have found. So I'm not going to rabbit anymore, other than if you have any inkling of wanting to lose weight, if you get down on the ground, if you get down to tie shoelaces and it's hard work, or you have to sit down to put your shoes on, or you can't pick something up off the ground, or you can't kneel down to check the tyre pressures of your car, please seriously consider doing something for yourself. And it don't matter what other people say. Do it yourself. And believe me, everybody in this world of losing weight is an absolute expert. I'm not an expert. I listen to experts. I took a little bit of information from all these places and experimented myself, did my own experiment, like I did at school. You know, the experiment, your method, and find out what works. Alcohol, if I go camping or if I go away for a week and I eat exactly what I eat at home, but drink a bottle of wine a week or a bottle of whiskey a week, weight loss stops. Dead. And bear in mind, I was losing over £1 a day. if I had a week of drinking wine, eating exactly the same foods I'd eaten the week before, but drinking wine or drinking whiskey, weight loss stopped. Beer. I've got a can of beer in my fridge now that's 18 months old. It's actually gone out of date. And it's my last can of Brewdog. And I had a can of beer in the early days as a bit of an experiment just to see what sugar does. And I had this can of beer and I could have eaten my arm off that evening. And that's how hungry I was. That's how my insulin had been spiked. And whether that was sugar, whether it was alcohol, I don't know. But I had that one can of beer. And the thought of keeping that in my head has stopped me from drinking the other one. But I have been drinking wine and whiskey. But I haven't done for now probably 2 months. And would you believe, not drinking wine or whiskey for 2 months, I'm losing weight every day. Thank you for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts on fat loss. I'd love to hear from you. And I know some of you will message me because a lot of you don't pull any punches when you message me, and I like that. Because I've done it wrong. My doctor died when I told him what I'd done. You tell me what I've done wrong. You tell me what's worked for you. Please don't follow what I've done thinking Andy Marshall knows what he's talking about, because as you well know from my other videos, I don't know what I'm talking about. It works for me, and that's what matters. It works for me. The next size clothing down hanging on my wardrobe works for me, because every so often I come out of the shower, put it on, and you put a shirt on and it don't meet. Then you come out of the shower and you put a shirt on and it fastens up. You know, you can't bend down or sit down in it, but it fastens up, and you think, that's crept up on me. Jacket, 2 weeks ago. I had no chance of fastening my jacket 2 weeks ago. I've just realised I've been talking to you and probably most of my head or even my face is missing out of shot if it has, you've got lucky. Thank you for watching. Please share with me your fat loss journey. I'm going to try to do more when I'm away overseas, because my eating regime is going to be totally different, and that's one reason I've been monitoring myself so much in the last few weeks, is because when I get over to Beijing I can then start to monitor where things are going then. Thank you for watching. Have a great winter, and I'll be back in the UK soon. I'll be back from China before then. Thank you guys.